God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for coming out. I just wanted to wish everybody a Happy New Year at the outset on behalf of the board. I also want to express the regrets of Ms. Pace, who's not feeling well and will not be able to attend tonight. At this point, I'll turn the meeting over to the superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan. Tonight, we begin with the student showcase on our computer science program. So I ask our presenters to come on up.
So as they're coming up, I just wanted to thank our computer science program is really an interdisciplinary effort. So it falls under math, it falls under STEM, science, and it falls under technology. And so I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Pettis and Ms. Kersey and Ms. Martin. And I'm going to now turn it over to Ms. Klonovic to introduce her students and colleagues. And so next week, you can tune in. We have a presentation from our elementary STEM program. So a great deal of computer science is taught in our elementary STEM program. So I'm giving you a little preview here. And so more to come next week. You can see some B-bots, you see DAT and Dash robots, and there's a tremendous amount of foundational coding, loops, different conditionals that happen and grow. And then Mr. Harvey gets them in middle school. And today we're going to hear from our students and teachers about some of our new and upcoming programs. So we introduced this past year AP Computer Science Principles, and the students here that are representing that course. We're also introducing and hoping to get accreditation from the state for a new CTE sequence for computer science that includes AP Computer Science and IB Computer Science. So here are some students representing so much of the new things that all of our students are learning and preparing for a changing world. So handing it over.
Hi everyone. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is our AP Computer Science class, which is a new addition this year. And what's cool about this class is that it's meant for people who haven't even necessarily had experience with computer science. So it's a really good way to introduce them and have them just start to expose themselves to these topics. So our first student is Heidi. She's going to tell us a little bit about something she's come up with.
Oh, right. No, sorry. I'm going to use a little bit. All right, so hi, my name is Kai. I'm a junior in Long Beach High School, and I take the AP Computer Science class with my local classmates and Ms. Rich. And what my project fits into a certain type of niche, and that niche would be practicality. Personally, I'm the captain of the robotics team, and I like how coding can take the best of both worlds and be applied to daily life. Now, I know all of you are probably somewhat involved in school and know there's a new attendance policy. We all love it, we all hate it, it depends. But what I feel like is an issue is that people aren't aware of the amount of absences, tardinesses that they have. When you look at that right there, you see that it's, oh, sorry, the mic hasn't been working. When you look at that right there, it's just straight up data. It's hard to see how many absences you have total. You would have to go to each and every single teacher and ask them, and that's such a hassle when that record's going to change in like 2 days. So what I did is I made a program, which will pull it up, and what it does is it inputs, like any student could just copy and paste their data, put it into the program, and if it will decide to load, simply it takes the data, sparses through it, finds certain key points, and then it tells you how many absences you have in each class. Now, I feel like this practicality is very great for a school environment, and I think that's pretty much it for me.
Hello there. My name is Troy. I'm a senior, and the reason why I took computer science was because I figured it was a great way to get some college credit. And I have very little experience with computer science, but I love science and math, so it was such a great gateway to the new concepts. And I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm meeting some new friends like Arson, and we've been working collaboratively a lot on projects. And I believe that the creative problem-solving skills I've learned in computer science will translate 100% over into STEM that I'm going to be doing at college next year. So I'm very excited about that. And whereas Kai was working on practicality with respect to the coding, I was working on a little bit more with the fun part of it. And I focused on one of my hobbies, which is surfing. And
Which you know, we'll show in a minute, while Carson looks like your experience.
Carson's gonna approach,
yeah. Hello, I'm Arsene Kropko. I'm skilled programmer. I took this EP computer science because I think it's important lesson, and also I can get EP credits. I created my own program which simulates physics, like the gravity, these different orbits and other. And Ms. Kolanovich will show what it's look like.
Alright, so here's Austin. Alright.
It's working.
Alright, so this is Arson's simulation of the planets orbiting the sun, which is very, very, very impressive. Okay, and so now we're going to show Troy's.
Where's Pluto?
It's not an actual solar system. It's just simulated.
It's awesome, though.
Yes, thank you, Troy.
No, when he showed me this, and I just kept following it, and then I got to this.
So this relates to surfing and surfing conditions. So do we have any surfers here? Anyone know anything about it? You do? All right. So give me a wind direction.
South.
All right, south, perfect. And then speed in miles per hour.
5.
All right, perfect. What's the tide? All right, you have a high tide. And swell height 10 feet.
Nothing over 6 feet.
All right, yes. I like little waves. These big men are supposed to be killing me. And then I swell through.
Get that. 3, 4. Can't see how long it's supposed to come in.
Yeah.
Second swell, I guess.
All right, it's perfect.
8 seconds.
Yup. So, according to my code, the wings aren't too good, so I'm gonna go to my homework and so I won't be. I'll make sure my attendance is gonna be good on this day. So you'll see me in class, and I guess I'll hand it off to Matt, my friend, and let's see what you got to say.
Hi, my name is Matthew Angolia. I'm a senior at Long Beach High School, and I have the privilege of taking both AP and IB Computer Science. I think they're both equally important. While AP focuses more on the programming aspects of computer science, IB focuses more on the history and how modern computers works. I guess that's really it. I didn't come with a program.
No, it's all good.
My name is Henry. I'm currently taking year 2 of IB Computer Science. Like Matt was saying, instead of focusing more on software, it also provides you with like a background to like the hardware too, and shows you how computers are actually work like by showing you how what each part does. And we're also working on our IA, which is to create a computational solution to one problem we have. And so for my IA this year, my sister's going to high school next year, so she needs help adjusting to that environment. So I'm working on making her a program to schedule her classes and tell her when all her assignments are due. And so that's a good help because me personally, I want a future in computer science. And so it provides me experience with creating a program like that because I want to do that in the future.
sorry, I want to just highlight one thing. And this is actually where
This is Mr. Cavazini.
this is Mr. Cavasino. So I teach IB Computer Science year 1 and year 2. You guys saw a lot of great projects that AP was doing. Those are like, projects that are done on the computer. Things I want to highlight just before to give you background, AP versus IB. In IB Computer Science, it's a 2-year class with a variety of topics, and I feel it's so important to learn about different aspects of computer science, because computer science is this umbrella of computers. There's business, there's management, there's hardware and architecture, there is software engineering, things like that. So I think it's important to make the distinction between AP and IB. And I love the fact that these kids that are in both now, because they can tell you about the difference. The one important thing is the kids in year 2 have a very big project that I would love to show, except it's due in March, so none of them have it done. So they all have a plan of what they're going to do. So I did bring one that was done last year by a student. And over the course of these 2 years, they plan, they talk about how they're going to do it. And what this student did was he created a trading system for cryptocurrency that bought and sold Bitcoin at certain thresholds. And it may not make sense, but I think that's the beauty of it, is you can do whatever you want as long as it is a solution that's done on the computer. So I can post, 10 more of these that are all so very different. There's websites, there's data structures one student made. It notified her when her brother's vending machine was sold out of stock on her phone. So there's a lot of variety, and I think you're going to hear one more IA idea. I think it's just really cool to highlight all the different things you can do. So I'll stop talking, but this was they got to open their Chromebooks, which was cool. Really bright and all the time.
You go fix one?
No. Beyond repair.
I'm Sophia, and I'm in year 2 IB Computer Science and AP Computer Science. Everyone already kind of said the differences between the two, and I took the class because I'm planning on majoring in computer science, and it kind of just shows my admissions officers that I have interest in computer science, and that's what I want to do. And I'm currently working on my IA, and it's supposed to kind of be for a library where students can request books virtually, and they'll get emails notifying them of their due dates. And
Hello, my name is Jake. I'm in year 1 IB Computer Science. I took the class because I just kind of wanted to get a background into a field that I'm thinking about maybe pursuing in the future. In general, I like the class because it really forces you to think like a computer. If you're doing the work and you aren't thinking in a very linear, line by line way, it's really hard to get the concepts. And I like it. It's a very intuitive class. You sit down, you dedicate some time to figuring out. They're almost like brain puzzles. How am I going to get this? They give you a prompt, and how am I going to be able to translate this to code? It's a very interesting class, and I think it improves my thinking skills, and I enjoy it. Yeah. It's really.
This is something he will be doing in year 1. So you get to break down what are the ones and zeros actually mean when you hear ones and zeros. Most common way is alarm systems, things like that. So big variation of what they learn, which I find seems to be having fun with. So there you go.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. Any board members, any comments for them before we move into our presentation?
I just first I want to thank you for coming out, particularly on such an inclement evening. And I enjoyed the humor, and I enjoyed just the spontaneity of the remarks when it wasn't scripted, so I really appreciate that. But just for my own edification, when you take computer science, is that an elective or is that a math credit?
Science credit.
Science credit.
IB Computer Science counts as a science credit.
So is it?
Science credit, okay. All right. And for those of you who are seniors, are you intending to pursue majors as undergraduates in computer science? or will it still just be an elective for you?
Yeah, for me at least, I plan on, in college studying cybersecurity and computer science.
Uh-huh.
So this is kind of the first step in a career. Is to, like, get like a head start over a lot of people who will be learning about this kind of stuff in college.
And do you guys in computer science talk about AI at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a big topic, or is it a current topic, or does it just depend on the headlines in the paper, or is it built into the curriculum?
It's a series, it's not a topic necessarily that's, has its own slot in the curriculum, but I find, we try to find news a lot in IB computer science and try to just make days to talk about things like that. Today we spoke about YouTube is slowing down users who use ad block on purpose. Things like, we try to incorporate daily news into computer science because the curriculum's full old, so it's getting rewritten. So we try to keep it fresh, talking about anything that's new and fun whenever we can. But that's not something that's
And
necessarily.
what is the enrollment in the computer science, in the IB class and the AP class?
I've got 15-year one, so I have 26 total between the two classes.
And are there any prerequisites in terms of?
Not for IB. The whole point is that you don't need one. A lot of kids have a background coming into the class,
Right.
but it's not necessary.
Right.
The prereq for AP is just algebra 1.
Algebra.
So a big component of it is functions,
Right.
which they learn in algebra 1, and then they apply it to coding. We don't do so much AI in an AP class. We're more learning how to take different features of a new coding language and just learn how we can use that in one specific language, and then we can apply it to others.
What I particularly enjoyed about your presentation is to each person, you really seem to enjoy the experience. And I sort of like hearing that. When I was in school, that wasn't necessarily the case in terms of liking subjects, because we had to take them. But it's nice that you're so enthusiastic about your subject matter. And those of you that specifically said really has helped me to learn how to think. I think that too was very, very commendable. Certainly something that I enjoyed hearing. So once again, thanks for coming out on such an inclement evening. Thanks for sharing such personal experiences. And Mr. Cavazzino, thank you for shepherding this.
Thank you.
I just want to also echo what Dr. Ryan said. It's a really bad night, so we really appreciate you all coming out and speaking to us. This is actually the highlight for the Board of Education, to hear from students like yourselves when you sound so excited about the work that you're doing in school every day. This is what we want to hear about. So thank you so much for taking the time to come. Some of the programs I'm thinking about, like yours, Troy, like you could actually add it to the surf camp when kids are like looking to see if they should go out surfing. You should actually apply that program to that surf camp and they go, so they can see if it's a good day for them or not to go out and learn to surf, or if it's a day for them not to go out and learn to surf. And your solar system, I thought about the elementary students in our other schools that would absolutely love to see that. So your work could also inspire the children who are younger than you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming. Thank you so much.
More comment, one more thing. At the board level, we always talk about the profile of a graduate, what we're trying to get out of the school experience, whether it's, standardized testing or really project-based learning, which I think you guys are doing a great job with. When I left high school, we started with MySpace, right? And you could write coding to make your background the way it was, and it was the most complicated thing. So looking at it now, we actually practiced that back when, not officially, but we're all making our MySpace pages after high school. What you guys are doing now is helping us set up what is the steps we need to put into curriculum for jobs at Apple and Microsoft and all these other programs. So you're right now creating the real transition stage of how we're going to build up this program. Right? We're building a work-based center class. So you guys are kind of pioneers now for the next step for the future kids. Take that as level of step of pride and importance, because what you're doing now, kids are going to be talking about, hey, should I surf or should I not? They're going to be thinking about all these types of things. So I'm really happy you guys are taking these steps for everyone else in the future. Great work.
Yo, I got a question about AI. Do you guys cover AI girlfriends and stuff?
We actually just code.
That was in the middle still. Yes.
Thank you again so much, that was great. And, I know it's kind of nasty out, and you guys might have work that you need to work on, so you can feel free to go if you want, perhaps feel like you need to stay for the rest of the meeting. And next up, Mr. Polito is going to continue his series of budget presentations.
Good evening, everybody. I know this is January 9th. The presentation we were supposed to do this last Tuesday when the board meeting got canceled because of the weather. Tonight we're going to first talk about the rollover budget, and we're going to include some projections on benefits. The rollover budget is the starting point in the formal budgeting process. Over the next few months, we will meet with different administrators. We'll hear about what the needs they have for next year, which is 2024, 25, while looking for ways to trim down the projected costs, see how we can be more efficient. Please remember that we need to obtain information about projected state aid. We got some preliminary information this evening before we came to the meeting tonight about what the governor's proposal is. So we're just starting to get some of that information in before we can determine how much of the budget increase will need to be covered with the tax levy. And I just want everybody to keep in mind the distinction between the budget that we're talking about and then the tax levy, which is one revenue source that helps pay for the budget. You see here our rollover budget for 24-25 is approximately $3.8 million over the current year's budget. How we derive that is we take our current program, everything we're doing now, and we just put it at next year's rates. Some of those rates we know, some, for example, contractual increases for salary. We also, you'll see here, we know about health insurance. We have some information on that and pension contributions. And then we also make some basic cost estimates. Equipment codes in this rollover budget remain level, while codes for BOCEs and supplies have been increased by around 2%, some a 3% increase. Let's start talking about the retirement systems. We have two functions, A9010 and A9020. The large increase in A9020, which is ERS, the Employee Retirement System, is based on the system's projection of increasing staff and also the contribution rate, some rate increases there. And that's a big change. You see about $500,000 there. The TRS, this is the Teachers Retirement System. So most of our employees either participate in one or the other, is relatively level. And that's because the salary base is relatively level, and also the rate is about the same as it is for the current year. Hospital, medical, and dental, that's where you see our big increase, and that's because our health insurance premiums have been going up the past couple of years, and they may go up again next January 1. So built into that cost projection is what we know the cost is going to be from July to December of next year, which is the first 6 months of next school year or our fiscal year. It's the same. And then we're factoring in a 10% increase just in case health insurance premiums go up again January 1, which is what they have done the past couple of years. It'll be nice if next January 1 we find out that they didn't go up such a large degree, but we have to be prepared just in case it does, because it has been going up the past couple of years at that rate. All the other line items in that hospital, medical, and dental are relatively flat, basically the same level. Debt service is another big category that we already know, but that's going to be, you see here a slight decrease from the actual budget in the current year, and that's due to the variation of annual debt service payments because of the fact that we have the serial bonds back from the school preservation plan. Each year's debt service is a bit different, and thankfully for next year, we see a bit of a reduction in the debt service. Some important upcoming dates. Next Tuesday, we have our central support functions where we talk about central administration, the Board of Education, district clerk, district meeting, legal, insurance, all of the central support functions are going to be presenting next Tuesday. We're actually going to try to include facilities as well next Tuesday. We're almost done with that, and we're going to try to include that in next Tuesdays. And then you see the rest of the calendar dates, the elementary program in February, the secondary program in March, along with special education. And then it culminates with the budget adoption. I didn't have that in that slide. It should be there. That's in April. That may have been an earlier version of the presentation. We have our budget adoption in April, mid-April, the April meeting, the budget hearing, and then the budget and bond vote at the May election and vote. And that is our presentation for this evening. Any questions or comments from the board, please?
Just be careful, those wires.
Any questions on the board members?
I have one question, Mr. Vito. You had mentioned at the outset that you heard today from the state in terms of an initial run, in terms of state aid. And what was the outcome? What was that?
So the governor's proposal is that there be a reduction in what's called foundation aid for those districts that have already been fully funded, but over the past several years have received what they call a home harmless type of an increase. So that translates to Long Beach is a reduction in $3.4 million in foundation aid for our district.
So with that, I guess that's not fixed in stone, it's still subject to
Negotiation at the state level and then adoption usually by around April 1st by the legislature.
But taking that number into consideration along with the presentation you just made, so it's fair to make the statement that initially at this point right now, as of governor's proposal and your presentation, we're $5 million.
No, we're $7 million.
$7 million.
Right, because you're showing an increase in the budget, right? The current program and next year's rates of about 3.8 million of an increase in proposed expenditures, and then a decrease in revenue of about 3.4 million. So you add,
In your time here, have you ever had such a starting point?
Not that I can think of.
I can't either. Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Just a comment. First off, I always find this mind-boggling, so thank you for simplifying it for us and making us understand exactly what's happening.
Thank you.
I just have a comment as well. Actually, I want to thank you so much. You know, one thing I've noticed ever since, for the many years I've been in the district, when you came along, you know, you really showed the transparency of our district. And you started off the budget process and you started explaining it to us so we could understand it. And I'm really very thankful for that. I'm sure many other parents are as well.
Thank you.
And I also want to say that I do know that when you do formulate your budget, our budget, and discuss it, you always put our students first. So even with, say, like the $7 million that we might be seeing in reduction, I am sure that you will find ways where our students will still be considered first.
We will certainly have that as our number one priority as we look to find ways to close the gap. Really what we have here is we start off with a gap, right, of over $7 million in terms of proposed expenditures and a reduction in revenue. Over the next couple of months, we're going to keep presenting to you some specific areas and hopefully have more information, right? More information about the projected costs, right? So if we anticipate some staff retirements, right? And if we can do some consolidation, that's one way that we're hoping to close the gap. in terms of expenditures as we meet with the administrators and go over their line by line budgets. We ask them, you know, are you happy with the value that you're getting out of the various programs that you're running? And, you know, what can we keep? What may be something new that they need? And then what may be something that they can say, we don't need this anymore, we're not getting the same value out of it. And especially based on this type constraint. And then as we get closer to April 1, when we have a finalized state aid run, then we'll know better as to what we can expect for state aid, whether it will be this it nets to 3.3 million because we're projected to get another 100,000 in building aid. So it's a 3.4 million reduction in that foundation aid, that line item, but overall it's a net change of 3.3. Will that be to that degree as was received tonight in the proposal? Or perhaps it may not be as dramatic of a reduction as we heard about tonight. And that's what we'll find out over the next couple of months. We'll be sure to share it with the board at the board meetings when we make these presentations. And as we present, like when we present the essential support functions at the next board meeting, and then after that, the elementary program, we will hopefully be able to, you know, just present what is absolutely necessary and trim where we can.
Right, so do we know for definite when we would find out about the foundational aid, or do you really think that this is it?
I would have to guess it's going to be when the budget is adopted, which is usually around April 1st. You know, this is typical. January, they give the executive proposal, and then they have a couple of months to hash it out at the state level until it's finally an adopted budget. And we don't know. There were some years where the governor's proposal is more generous than what's finally adopted. I don't know what the dynamic is going to be this year, but it is I was actually shocked when I got the news. You know, we got some information early this morning that this was conceptually what they were going to do, and then when I saw the specific impact, because they give you a run, they compare last year to the current year rather to next year, I was shocked at the reduction of foundation aid. So we are going to, you know, do what we can to make sure it's correct, first of all, and find out why, you know, make sure that they're calculating it properly, and then do what we can to let people know that this is going to be a big hit for our community.
Well, let us know so we can advocate in any way possible, okay?
Yep.
You know, thank you.
Just one last question. Is there anything we should be doing between now and July 1st in terms of the present operating budget, in terms of looking at possible cost savings that we can attribute to next year, somehow reduce whatever the deficit would be?
Sure. So there's a category in what you see in our revenue projection, which is appropriated fund balance. And God bless you. And typically, over the past several years, we've been trying to keep it to about $1 million. And what that means is that we're taking $1 million from our savings account and we're putting it towards the following year's expenditures. So if we're able to save in the next 6 months, then we are able to put more towards next year's expenditures. And it won't necessarily impact our savings account because it's really a function of what we save between now and June 30th. So whatever we can save in the year with an operating surplus, we can increase that, what we call the appropriated fund balance, and put it to offset next year's spending plan.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. DeVito. Student organization. Questions and comments from the public on tonight's agenda only? Treasurer's report for November 2023. No action necessary. Approval of minutes for executive session and regular meeting of December 12, 2023. Could I just put in there as amended? I think there were a couple of amendments.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so as amended, may I have a motion for the
Motion.
approval? May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Pinto?
Yes.
Ms. Felsi?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Presentation to the superintendent?
I'd ask the board to consider item 1, certificated personnel.
I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I would just like to thank many of these teachers for all of their years of service towards our students, for our kids. My own kids were lucky enough to have some of these teachers, and I can tell that they were really true gifts. So I wish them the best in their happy retirement, but thank you so much for your service.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Pinto? Yes. Ms. Kelsey?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Item 2, non-certificated personnel.
We have a motion? Motion. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Pinto? Yes. Ms. Kelsey?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Item 3 is the approval of the stipulation of settlement.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We have a second?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Kelsey seconds it. Any discussion? Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Pinto?
Yes.
Ms. Kelsey?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Item 4 is the decision on a superintendent suspension appeal. I'd ask Ms. Dolan to read the resolution for the decision.
Be resolved
that the Board of Education of the Long Beach City School District hereby denies the appeal of the suspension of a student identified in confidential attachment A dated December 19th, 2023, and authorizes the board president to notify the parent of its decision in writing.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Okay, Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Pinto?
Yes.
Ms. Kelsey?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
I'd ask the board to consider items 5 through 7 together.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I would just like to thank the CSEA for the donation of the pop-up tent.
Yeah, I'd like to second that too. I spoke to them about it. They're active in the Special Olympic events at the high school, and they noticed it. It was great collaboration between the club, the teams, the district, and their membership, so we thank them.
Any other discussion? Okay, Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Pinto?
Yes.
Ms. Kelsey?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Number 8 is the second reading of an amended policy, no action necessary, and I'd ask the board to consider items 9 through 12.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Pinto?
Yes.
Ms. Kelsey?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Any additional rural business, board members, anybody?
I'm Dr. Ryan.
Sure.
I would just like to thank everyone for a smooth transition back to school. I was fortunate enough to go back to see some of the school events. The wrestling one really seems to stick out in my mind. It was amazing. It was packed with students, parents, with community members. And I just really want to commend the coaches and the parents and the players for all that they do. You can see the camaraderie and the teamwork between them, and you can see the emotion of the parents, especially the senior parents this year. So it was really a wonderful night.
Okay, anybody else? Good, Councilman? Any questions or comments from the public?
Good evening, my name is Daniel Hunter, 382 East Bay Road. Some of you may remember me, I stood before this board at the last meeting, expressed my concern regarding the alleged incident at my child's school. I just want to follow up with that today. I have 3 minutes, so I apologize to speak quickly. I want to begin by thanking the Long Beach administration and for Dr. Gallagher and Mr. Vito for stepping forward and addressing the concerns that many parents expressed, and concerns that I discussed earlier. It was clear from my interaction with both the board at the last meeting and the administration in the interim that we all share a common goal, which is to provide the best and safest environment for all our children to learn. However, as a result of this incident, parents have been made aware of the Long Beach school policy regarding notification of parents when an act of violence or threat occurs in our children's schools. It has been established that Long Beach will not inform parents of the threat of violence or if the presence of a weapon is established unless, and I quote, there's a general threat as determined by our experts in law enforcement and mental health, or if many students were aware of what happened and may have been frightened or concerned. The rationale that has been expressed for this policy is one of protection of students' rights to privacy and not to create unnecessary alarm or panic among parents. I ask the board to re-examine this policy, and I offer you 2 arguments. First, I hope that my behavior regarding this incident that parents need not be treated in such a way to prevent concern or panic. I would rather suggest that this incident demonstrates that a lack of transparency only leads to more panic, and that the incident from an official source or board, you're all aware that I was in possession of many details regarding the incident from an official source, and I hope that I demonstrated that parents are not only seeking the best outcome for everyone in their personal lives, but everybody involved in the circumstances, as demonstrated by my decision not to divulge any information that was private. Rather, I wanted information so I could make an informed decision as a parent regarding my child's safety. I have no desire, and I don't think any parent has any desire for some type of retributive justice or punishment. It's not the goals here today. If my argument-based reason is not persuasive to you here, I suggest a pragmatic reason for the change in school policy. I have no desire to take this board or the administration's time when incidents occur in my child's school, or I think it's also clear that you now have a parent who understands the rights and abilities to access relevant information from sources beyond the board's control. I would suggest that it would benefit all if the school made limited disclosures, so that parents like you aren't forced to seek alternatives for necessary information. If the board administration is unwilling to alter the general threats policy, I would ask you to define general threats, to remove any ambiguity. I raise this particular concern because recently a threat to hurt, quote, anyone who loves school was determined to not be a general threat, something I still find confusing here today. I believe on its face that parents have now lost faith in the ability of the gatekeepers to determine what is a general threat. My second concern that I want to raise is related to the lack of transparency that this entire speech targets. As I'm sure you're aware, I made a FOIL request that was denied. As I explained to Dr. Gallagher before the request was ever made, I had no desire for the actual materials I saw. Rather, I was attempting to establish the school board's policy on disclosure under FOIL. After the denial, I appealed the decision again to get an understanding of the school board's position. My FOIL request was denied based on a demonstration of my knowledge about the subject matter of the exact incident. I have the FOIL request here denied if you're interested. To put another way, because I went through the effort to obtain information from a third party, since the school would not share any information, it was determined that I was no longer entitled to any information regarding the incident at the school. Not even a log indicating police presence. I am asking that council and the school board re-examine their obligations under FOIL and respond to me, so I don't have to take further steps. There's nothing in FOIL that allows a party to consider my basis of knowledge in the new disclosure. I, like other parents at the school, have the same rights under FOIL. It is also disheartening that my transparency with you, giving you the information that I had gotten, was used as a sword to prevent me from having access to FOIL information. My transparency hurt me. In closing, I ask the board to take note of the incident that took place today in the North Belmore School District. A weapon was found on the school campus, and the school released a statement to parents and on their website. I am happy to provide a link to anyone who desires it. There have been no reports of panic, no reports of violation of any student's privacy rights. Rather, parents were given adequate information to make rational choices regarding their children's safety. The same thing I'm requesting from here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Merker, we had some conversation tonight among the board and with our council. And we just want to say at the outset, we all do want the same thing. And as I think you're aware, when we spoke, there are some legal issues that we're grappling with on this. If you're willing, I would love to invite you in to sit with myself, with counsel, so I'm not translating legal, which is not a good thing for me to do, and a representative of the board, so we can hash some of this out and hopefully come to some kind of an understanding.
I would greatly appreciate that.
So we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir, if it's possible, could we get a copy of that letter?
Yes.
I mean, you may not now, or you can get it,
The denial of the FOIL request letter?
that and what you just read.
Oh, absolutely. You want me to email it to the district clerk?
Yes,
That'd be
yes,
good.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Announcements? National Teachers Association? Sally? Happy New Year. Group B? Please go. Happy New Year to you. LBSEA? Parent Teacher Association? New Year's to you, and you, and you, and you. Okay? We have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Get home safely, everybody.